All right, let's get right into it. We're diving into one of the most talked about and, one of the most intense laws from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Today, we are breaking down Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy, unlucky. So that's the core idea right there, and it's meant to be jarring. The law isn't just being poetic here. It's framing emotional states as being literally as contagious, and as potentially deadly as a physical illness. The stakes are set incredibly high from the get-go. Okay, so what does it mean, this whole idea of contagious misery? Well, this law argues that some people act like walking carriers of a psychological virus. It's not just that they're unhappy, they actually radiate it. So let's try to really understand the danger here from the book's perspective. What's so interesting here is how the book forces you to look at your relationships as a kind of strategic calculation. In this world, your social circle isn't just there for support. It's part of your toolkit. An infector isn't just a friend who's a bit of a downer. They're a massive strategic liability who will absolutely drain your most precious resources, your time and your energy. And that leaves you vulnerable. So if these people are supposedly so dangerous, the big question is, how do you even spot them? Well, the law gives you what's basically a field guide for diagnosing this personality type. So let's get into the anatomy of an infector and figure out how to identify the source of the problem. Here's the definition the book lays out. An infector isn't just someone who's unlucky or going through a tough time. No, the law describes them as having an intensely unstable character that actively creates their own misfortune. And here's the real kicker. That misfortune is never contained. It always inevitably spreads to anyone who gets close. Okay, let's break down the warning signs you can actually look for. They almost always present themselves as the victim, which makes it really hard at first to see that their problems are, self-inflicted. You have to look for a pattern, a past filled with drama, a trail of burned bridges and broken relationships, chaotic careers. The common thread, according to the book, is this powerful, destabilizing personality that just creates chaos wherever it goes. Now, to really see this law in action, nothing beats a good story. And the book gives us a powerful historical case study. Let's look at the story of the dancer Lola Montez and King Ludwig of Bavaria. It's a perfect, if tragic, illustration of this so-called infection at work. So, King Ludwig was known for being super frugal, very cautious, totally in control. But in 1846, that all went out the window when he met Lola Montez. He even said it himself, he was bewitched by her. From the perspective of Law 10, this is the exact moment of infection. It's when his own judgment got completely clouded by her intense, unstable personality. What's really striking here is just how fast the whole thing goes downhill. It's incredible. By 1847, this once thrifty king is just showering her with money and political power. The people are furious, and riots break out. And then, by 1848, less than 2 years after he met her, his reign is over. He has to give up his throne just to stop a civil war. And Lola? Well, true to the infector profile, she moves on and eventually dies in poverty herself. Okay, so after a catastrophe like that, what does the law say you should do? Well, the answer it gives is just as ruthless as the diagnosis. It's not about helping, it's not about fixing them, it's about the cold, hard logic of quarantine.
And that's the central metaphor, right? A virus. The danger of the infector is that their influence is subtle. It gets into your system while your guard is down. You might feel sorry for them, you might want to help, but according to this law, you're really just opening yourself up to the infection and letting their chaos slowly take over your own life.
So the book presents you with a very stark choice. Option 1, you try to help. The book argues this is a fatal mistake that will only drag you down with them. Or there's option 2, quarantine. You recognize the destructive pattern for what it is, and you run. Not out of spite, but purely out of self-preservation. And the advice here couldn't be more clear. It's absolute. No middle ground. Don't argue, because their instability doesn't follow logic. Don't try to change them, because their character is their destiny. And most importantly, do not offer them help, because your sympathy is the very path the infection uses to spread. Okay, I know that is a pretty bleak way to look at the world, but this law isn't just about what to avoid. It actually has a really powerful flip side, an antidote to all this negativity, and that's the power of positive association. See, the big takeaway here is that this whole law of contagion works both ways.
Just like misery and chaos can infect you, so can happiness, success, and intelligence. You can actually use these same forces of emotional transfer to your advantage. So, you flip the script. Instead of scanning for warning signs, you start actively searching for signs of good fortune. The book suggests looking for people with qualities like genuine good cheer, a kind of natural buoyancy that carries them through hard times, and intelligence. You want to surround yourself with people who are a source of pleasure and who just seem to attract prosperity.
And this really gets to the end game, strategically speaking. The goal is to become a party to the good fortune that other people create for themselves. By choosing your associations wisely, you can effectively share in the success and the power that fortunate people just seem to draw to them. So let's bring this all back to you. This law isn't just a bunch of old stories. It's presented as a practical, if pretty ruthless, tool for your own life. It kind of forces you to turn the spotlight on your own circle and ask a pretty tough question. So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with that question. Think about your own circle of friends, colleagues, partners. Are the people around you a source of energy and progress, or are they an infectious drain? According to the cold, hard logic of Law 10, in the game of power, the answer to that question could change everything.